leaders. That is what we have to do on November 8th. We have to get out and vote for Democrats in Maryland, up and down the ballot. That's how we're going to continue to make people's lives better. To take action and join us in doing everything we can to support Maryland, to elect Maryland Democrats, go to joebiden.com. The stakes are too high, and we have the power to keep making a change. Now, I am proud to introduce one of the trailblazing changemakers that we will elect this November. A leader who understands Maryland and is fighting for opportunity for all of us. Our next governor, Wes Moore.
What's going on, Montgomery County? It is great to be here in the place of my birth. It is great to be here in one of Maryland's true treasures. It is great to see you. And it is great to be here in the hometown of your next Lieutenant Governor, the remarkable Aruna Miller. Andrea, bless you. Bless you for your leadership, because the way we are going to win this race, it is going to be door to door, block by block, neighborhood by neighborhood. We are going to win this race because we are going to outwork everybody. And I'm thankful for your leadership. I'm also so incredibly thankful for our federal delegation. You heard earlier from Senator Cardin, from Leader Hoyer, who I always say, that's not just a title, that's a descriptor of who he is in terms of Leader Hoyer. We have the best federal delegation that anybody could ask for. And we're all educators out here. I am so grateful to be out here with so many educators. We thank President Biden, and also we thank President Biden, but also, let's not forget, we thank our remarkable First Lady, Dr. Jill Biden, as well. Who is an extraordinary champion for our schools, an extraordinary champion for our community colleges. I always say, and by the way, this right here is home to the extraordinary Montgomery College. And I always say I'm proud of the fact that I'm the only candidate in this race with an associate's degree. and people laugh and they're like, but hold on, you were the first Black Rhodes Scholar in the history of Johns Hopkins University, but the ring you wear is from your junior college. And I tell people that's right, because it's my foundation. And what we have to ensure is that every single child and every single student has a chance to find their own foundation as well. You know, my family likes to say we come from a long line of preachers and teachers. And I got a whole lot of family out here tonight. I got family, aunts who are educators. I got cousins who are educators, mother-in-law. Both my grandmothers were educators. We come from a long line of preachers and teachers, and I know that I would not be here had it not been for educators who saw a promise in me when, frankly, I did not see it in myself. I would not be here had it not been for educators who saw a young man who was dealing with troubles and traumas, but who knew that our society should have a place for me as well. And I know that I'm proud to be here with my amazing mom, who's right over there. Stand up, Ma, stand up. Stand up so they can see you. My mother, who was an immigrant from Jamaica. Yeah, man. All the yardies out there. Who raised my two sisters and I as a single mom when my father died in front of me when I was almost 4 years old because he didn't get the health care that he needed. And there are people who believed and fought and advocated for us. That I know that when I first felt handcuffs on my wrists, I was 11 years old. Because we came up in communities that were over-policed, and we knew it. And despite those challenges, I had a community who believed, and a community who understood that we were going to leave no one behind. And when I was, when I was 17 years old, I joined the Army. In fact, I was too young to sign the paperwork when I first joined the Army. My mother had to sign the paperwork for me. But after my teenage years, she would sign whatever paperwork that the Army put in front of her. But they taught us a basic mantra. A mantra they asked us to live by, and I did. Leave no one behind. Leave no one behind. And I want to be clear, that is not just a mantra, that is a value statement. And let's also be clear, come January, that will be the new mission of the state of Maryland. We will be a state that leaves no one behind. We are going to be a state that's going to ensure that every Marylander can receive a world-class education and a lifelong education that creates pathways to work and wages and wealth. We are going to be a society that is going to make historic investments in apprenticeship programs and trade programs. We are going to be a state that is going to make pre-K free for every child in need. We are going to be a state that is going to create a service year option for every single high school graduate, which is not just going to make college more affordable, but it's also going to be a unique opportunity for people to be able to give back to our larger society and our larger community. And when it comes to our economy, we know and we are going to focus on the very people that actually drive our economy's growth, our small businesses and our workers. So, I've run a small business, and I know how hard it can be to build, to feel supported, to have your hard work and also your risk-taking recognized. And we are going to ensure that our state is not going to be the best place to live and to grow, but also to retire by allowing our seniors to age in place and to age with dignity. Maryland, listen, this is our time. This is our decade. This is the time when Maryland is going to lead. Now, I do want to be clear, though. Ever since our primary win, it's been amazing how many people have come up and said, isn't it great that Dan Cox won and you're running against Dan Cox in the general? My answer is clear and it is consistent. Do not underestimate what we're against. Do not underestimate what we are up against. It is not great that come November we are running against an election denier. For me, patriotism meant leaving my family and putting on our nation's uniform and serving with the 82nd Airborne Division in Afghanistan. And I'm proud of the fact that one of my brothers who I serve with, Devin Flavin, is here tonight as well. And God bless you, Flavin. It's great to see you, man. Well, let's be clear, for our opponent, patriotism for him means organizing buses to join him on January 6th. It's not a wonder why our current governor, a Republican, Larry Hogan, has said he will not support him, and in fact, he went further to say, I wouldn't even give him a tour of the governor's office. But Dan Cox is not an opponent. He's a threat. And let's be clear, a threat to women in Maryland who deserve to make their own health care decisions and who have access to safe and legal abortions. A threat to our responsibility that every child in the state of Maryland has access to a world-class public school. A threat to those who believe in free and fair democracies, and a threat to the Constitution that I swore to defend. But I also want people to understand this too. The reason that we are going to win in November is not because we are asking people to be afraid of something. The reason that we are going to win in November and up and down the ballot all across the state is because we are going to give Marylanders something to believe in. And I'm not just talking about Democratic Marylanders. This is a time for all Marylanders to rally around a future not based in lies and conspiracy theories, but one that's based in optimism, concrete proposals, and collective progress. And when people ask me, well, how do you think you can do this? How do you think in this kind of climate that you can actually bring people together? My answer is this. It's how I've always led. It's how I've always led. And my answer is this. You know, I tell people, when I was leading soldiers in combat in Afghanistan, you know a question I never once asked my soldiers? What's your political party? It didn't matter. We had one job, one goal. My mission, my objective, was to rally our entire unit around a singular goal and to accomplish it collectively. It didn't matter. And I know right now people are tired of being at each other's throats, especially because we don't have to be. That we can actually believe and dream together and accomplish big things together. And that's why today I'm asking all Marylanders to remember that our best days are actually ahead of us, and that we together can build a state where those who came before us, that they hope for, and those that will come after us, that they deserve. So I'm asking all of Marylanders to remember this is our time. My name is Wes Moore, the son of an immigrant, a combat veteran, a proud graduate of a junior college, and I'm fighting for a Maryland where we leave no one behind. And, oh, I can't wait till January, y'all. I can't wait till January. And I am so thrilled and excited that I am also about to introduce a person who knows a thing or two about lifting people up when times are tough. Because that's who Joe Biden is. Our president came into office during some of the most difficult times in our nation's history. Let's not forget where we were 2 years ago, everybody. Let's not forget. But he had the courage and the vision, and most importantly, the willingness to fight for all of us. From COVID recovery to bipartisan infrastructure, health care for burn pit exposed veterans, gun violence prevention to the Inflation Reduction Act. And by the way, that's in less than 2 years. So I say this to the President. Thank you for your leadership at a moment when our country needed it so badly. And while I'm thankful for the Biden administration, I'm also deeply grateful for the man that is Joe Biden. He is a public servant by every definition of the word, and someone who exudes the empathy and the humility that office should require. So while I'm thankful for what this administration has meant to Marylanders, and I am very eager to work in partnership with this administration to continue to deliver for Maryland and Maryland's families, I'm also incredibly grateful for what his example has meant to our nation. So with that, Maryland, I give you the President of the United States, Joe Biden.
Hello, Maryland. Wes, thank you for that introduction. And Wes is the real deal. The real deal. Folks, he's a combat veteran. Only drawback is he's a Rhodes Scholar. Former CEO of one of the biggest anti-poverty organizations in America. And if we all do our part, the next governor of Maryland. It's been said many times before and been said here today, and excuse my back. My mother would kill me with my back to y'all. Excuse my back. The fact of the matter is, you have literally two of the best senators in the United States Senate, Ben Cardin and Chris Van Hollen. As a matter of fact, were it not Chris being my debate partner, getting me prepared in the general election for president, I wouldn't be standing here. So if you don't like me, blame Chris. He's up for re-election this year. And I told him, I'll come campaign for him or against him, whichever will help the most. Folks, look, both Ben as well, they're strong and they're principled, they're effective. Keep them. You need them. Hell, I need them. You've got a great congressional delegation, including Steny Hoyer, who's been a friend for a long time. And how about that Jamie Raskin? Hadn't he stepped up? The man has stepped up. He's done an incredible job. I like it. He's done an incredible job coming out of a tragic circumstance with his family. You know, you got to keep them. You need them. And I said, heck, I need them. Folks, We're just 76 days away from the midterm election. 76 days. And to state the obvious, there's a lot at stake. So I want to be crystal clear about what's on the ballot this year. Your right to choose is on the ballot this year. The Social Security you paid for from the time you had a job is on the ballot. The safety of your kids from gun violence is on the ballot. And it's not hyperbole. The very survival of our planet is on the ballot. Your right to vote is on the ballot. Even the democracy. Are you ready to fight for these things now? Well, then you need to do one thing. Vote. Vote. You got it. In 2020, you and 81 million Americans voted to save our democracy. That's why Donald Trump isn't just a former president. He is a defeated former president. And it's not hyperbole. Now you need to vote to literally save democracy again. Look, I believe America's at a genuine inflection point. It occurs every 6 or 7 generations in world history. One of the moments that changes everything. And Americans are going to have to choose. You must choose. Will we be a country that moves forward or backward? Will we build a future or obsess over the past? Will we be a nation of unity, of hope, of optimism? Not a nation of anger, violence, hatred, and division. Trump and the extreme MAGA Republicans have made their choice to go backwards, full of anger, violence, hate, and division. But we've chosen a different path. Forward, the future, unity, hope, and optimism. I mean this sincerely. We choose to build a better America. This fall, there will be a choice between these two visions. And we must take our case to the American people and be crystal clear about it. There's no question it's been a hard few years. When I came to office, we were facing a once-in-a-century pandemic. A million people died. 1 million people. And over 9 million people get up in the morning and sit at that breakfast table or the dinner table with an empty chair because of that. Historic joblessness. Businesses struggling to stay open. So much lost learning for our kids in school. But we've come a long way. In 18 months, COVID no longer controls our lives. A record number of Americans are working, 10 million since I came to office. Businesses are growing. Our schools are open. And folks, it just didn't happen. It took a lot of hard work. It took a plan that we stuck to, even in the face of unrelenting attacks from the most powerful special interests in the country. And the whole notion of the burn it all down politics of MAGA Republicans continues to be a drumbeat. But that's all. No. Let him go. Let him go. Let him go. That's okay. Folks, ignorance knows no boundaries. But we never gave up. We never gave in. And we're delivering for the American people now. And now, even our critics have been forced to acknowledge real progress. A record of big accomplishments. matched by few administrations in history. 10 million new jobs, more than we've ever created before at this point in anyone's presidency. 3.5% unemployment rate, near a record low in the history of this country. A 15% drop in child poverty compared to 2 years ago. And more than 220 million Americans vaccinated. Record small business creation. A big reason for all this is the American Rescue Plan that I signed into law shortly after I took office with the help of your members of Congress. That plan took America from economic crisis to economic recovery. And not a single Republican, not one single one, voted for it. Not one. Not a single Republican. We also passed the once-in-a-generation investments in our nation's roads, highways, bridges, railroads, ports, airports, clean water systems, high-speed rail, internet. The biggest investment in America since President Eisenhower's Interstate Highway Act. We got a little help. We did get some help from some Republicans passing the bill, and I'm thankful for that. But the truth is, there's a lot more Republicans taking credit for a bill that they actually voted against. You see it all over America. Right here in Maryland, you got a Republican Congress named Andy Harrison. Now, old Andy's out there touting funding for a key dredging project in his district that he voted against. It's happening all over. Maybe he'll, as they say in Southern Delaware, maybe the boy will get some religion. Look, folks, we passed the CHIPS and Science Act, a groundbreaking law. We're going to once again manufacture semiconductors as we invented that power everything in our lives right here in America. This law will create tens of thousands of construction jobs, bring billions of dollars in investment to America, and revitalize American manufacturing. Look, folks, it means we're going to build the future in America. With American workers, in American factories, producing American-made products. We took on the NRA. We took on the NRA, and we beat them. We just passed the first significant gun safety legislation in 30 years in this country. And I promise you, we're not stopping here. I'm determined to ban assault weapons in this country. I did it once before, and we will do it again. We're going to do it for those families in Buffalo, Uvalde, Newtown, El Paso, Parkland, Charleston, Las Vegas, Orlando. I've been to almost every one of those places to meet with those parents. We all got to do it. We're going to do it for all our kids. Gunned down on our streets every single day, every day that never make the national news. Folks, we're going to do it for your kids who are learning how to read and write in school instead of learning how to duck and cover. So this November, we have to ask every candidate, are you for banning assault weapons or not? And if you're not, we're not going to vote for you. Period. In my State of the Union address, I put forward a unity agenda that included taking care of our veterans. Especially our veterans who've been exposed to burn pits like my son, who got the Conspicuous Service Medal, as well as, I don't want to start talking about my son, but he spent a year in Iraq. He was only about 200 yards from one of the burn pits. These pits the size of football fields, 8, 9, or 10 feet deep in Afghanistan and Iraq. Incinerated, that incinerates wastes of war, tires, poisonous chemicals, jet fuels, and so much more. So much more. Our soldiers breathed in that toxic smoke and came home with headaches, numbness, dizziness, cancer. I just signed in the law of the PAC Act to take care of those veterans who are exposed to those burn pits. It's the least we could do for them. I believe a nation has many obligations, but only one truly sacred obligation: to equip the women and men we send to battle and take care of them and their families when they return home. Army Captain Wes Moore understands that. He saw it like my son saw it. We've done all this, but then our critics say inflation. You mean the global inflation caused by the worldwide pandemic and Putin's war in Ukraine? We're making progress. Since I took office this year, gas prices are down more than $1 this summer, and we're going to keep it going down. I just signed into law the historic Inflation Reduction Act. And it wasn't easy. We had to take on the big drug companies to pass this bill, and we did. For decades, Big Pharma fought to block giving Medicare the power to negotiate lower drug prices. And for decades, Big Pharma won. But not this year. The American people won, and Big Pharma lost. Medicare now has the power to negotiate for lower prescription drug prices. Seniors will see their out-of-pocket costs for drugs limited to no more than $2,000 a year, no matter how many drugs they need take for cancer or other diseases. Limit. If you're on Medicare and have diabetes, your cost of insulin will be capped at $35 a month. We also included a provision that would have allowed anyone with diabetes, including those kids and their families, that get charged somewhere between $600 and $1,000 a month. How would you feel like being a parent, looking at your kid and knowing you didn't have the insurance, and knowing if they did not get that insulin, they may die? There's thousands of people in America going through that. And these Republicans ripped that out of the bill, but we're coming back. Look, this law also keeps down the cost of health care. Thanks to the American Rescue Plan and this new law, we're saving families of four an average of $2,400 a year on their health care premiums. They're big savings for someone making $70,000, $80,000, $100,000 a year as a family. It's a big deal. Some might even say it's a BFD. We also had to take on the climate deniers. And guess what? We beat them. We beat them. For decades, these climate deniers blocked any meaningful progress in dealing with climate crisis. But not this year. This year, the American people won, and the climate deniers lost. And consequently, we're taking the most aggressive action to confront climate crisis ever. $368 billion. We created more than 1 million jobs. And it will help us triple our solar power, unleash American manufacturing to own the global market in electric cars. That's the future, made in America. For decades, the biggest corporations and the wealthiest Americans who fought to block a fair tax code. And for decade after decade, they won. That's why 55 of the largest Fortune 500 companies in America in 2020 paid zero in tax after making $40 billion. No, I'm not making this up. It's the God's truth. $40 billion. But this year, some of the biggest companies in America flooded Capitol Hill with lobbyists and money and campaign contributions. And they lost. The American people won. Now, Corporations have to pay a minimum corporate tax, God love them, of 15%. Isn't that painful? The days of billion-dollar companies paying zero are over. And guess what? You hear Republicans always talking about the deficit, right? About big spending Democrats. Well, guess what? When the last guy was president, he increased the debt by $2 trillion in tax cuts. Not a penny of it paid for, okay? Well, guess what we did? We reduced the deficit. The Inflation Reduction Act lowers the deficit by $300 billion over the next 10 years. And that's on top of the $350 billion I reduced the deficit last year and the $1.5 trillion reducing it this year. You'd think if the Republicans really cared about reducing inflation, they would have voted for the Inflation Reduction Act. But every single Republican voted against it, even though I know at least a dozen of them thought they should vote for it. But they would be primaried. Every single Republican in the House, every single Republican in the Senate, every single one, hear this, America, every single Republican voted against lower prescription drug prices, against lower health care costs, against tackling the climate crisis, against lower energy costs, against creating good-paying jobs, against the fair taxes, every single one. That's not hyperbole. Every single American needs to return the favor when we vote. And thanks to our historic deficit reduction, we can afford to cancel $10,000 in student debt and $20,000 if you're on a Pell Grant for tens of millions of Americans making under $125. This is a game changer. Look, every election is a choice. My dad used to have a saying. He said, Joey, don't compare me to the Almighty, compare me to the alternative. Well, the alternative to the Democrats are the MAGA Republicans. West knows all about MAGA Republicans. He's running against one of them. That's why West described him as so far outside the mainstream that it'll be dangerous in the governor's office. Well, you're absolutely right. And your current Republican governor, your Republican governor agrees with that. Just go check out what your Republican governor said about West's opponent. So how extreme are these MAGA Republicans? Just take a look what happened since the Supreme Court overturned Roe v. Wade. In red states after red state, there's a race to pass the most restrictive abortion limitations imaginable, even without exception for rape or incest. But these MAGA Republicans won't stop there. They want a national ban. They want to pass a legislative national ban in the Congress. If the MAGA Republicans win control of the Congress, it won't matter where you live. Women won't have the right to choose anywhere. Anywhere. Let me tell you something. If they take it back and they try and pass it, I will veto it. Next. We're going to go all right. And by the way, as Clarence Thomas said in the opinion, he said that the right to privacy doesn't exist for the right to use contraception, marriage equality, the whole right to privacy. We can't let that happen. You got it, kid. You can't let that happen. Not today, not tomorrow, not ever. And I don't believe we will. The MAGA Republicans have awakened to the powerful force in America, the women of this nation. The court, in its opinion, used the phrase that women have a right to vote and change this. Well, guess what? MAGA Republicans don't have a clue about the power of women. Let me tell you something. They are about to find out. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. And by the way, look, I served in the Congress since I was 29 years old. I had to wait 17 days to be eligible to be sworn in. I've served with a lot of great Republicans. I mean it. A lot of great report. Thank you, man. Thank you, man. You got it. Well, here's the deal. Here's the deal. What's happened is there are not many real Republicans anymore. By the way, your sitting governor, he's a Republican you can deal with. We disagree. No, I'm serious. But at least he's within the mainstream of the Republican Party. I respect conservative Republicans. I don't respect these MAGA Republicans. And folks, everybody thinks I'm exaggerating when I say this, but they're coming after your Social Security as well. And if you think I'm kidding, go read the only election year plan the Republicans have put out. Look up on these, there you go. This is the Republican plan that is about what they want to do with regard to Social Security. Go ahead to the next slide. There you go. Here's what they said. Rick Scott, the Republican chairman of the Re-elect Committee for the Senate, Republican senators, said Social Security and Medicare should be in the chopping block. This is what they put out. All federal legislation sunsets every 5 years. If a law is worth keeping, Congress can pass it again. Translated, your Social Security every 5 years will be eliminated unless it's voted back into existence. It's your money. You paid for it. You paid for it. But I'm not joking. Think about this. Think about what they're doing. And it's all there in black and white. He wants to require Congress to vote on the future of Social Security every 5 years. So every 5 years, Congress can vote to change, cut, reduce, or entirely eliminate Social Security. How does that make you feel? Do you want to put your Social Security in the hands of Ted Cruz and Marjorie Taylor Greene? I mean it. But it's not just Social Security. Senator Scott wants everything in the federal budget voted on de novo every 5 years it goes out of existence. That includes Medicare, veterans benefits, and everything else. And then along comes Senator Ron Johnson of Wisconsin. This is what they put this in writing now. This is their plan. He thinks 5 years is too long. I'm not joking. You think I'm making this up? He wants to put Social Security and Medicare on the chopping block every single year. This is the same guy who said, if Republicans get control of the United States Congress, they're coming after the Affordable Care Act again, denying health insurance to anyone with a pre-existing condition. Because if you don't have Affordable Care Act, people with a pre-existing cannot get insurance. Again, just think of it as a parent or a brother or sister looking at a brother, sister, son, daughter, and you can't take care of them because they have a pre-existing condition. These guys never stop. And we're never going to stop either. Look, my friends, we offer a starkly different version and vision of this country, a vision of a better America that's within our reach, that's within our hands, if we just vote. If we elect 2 more senators, we keep the House and Democrats, we're going to get a lot of unfinished business we're going to get done. Folks, look, we'll codify Roe v. Wade. We'll ban assault weapons. We'll protect Social Security and Medicare. We'll pass universal pre-K. We'll restore the child care tax credit. We'll protect voting rights. We'll pass election reform and make sure no one ever has the opportunity to steal an election again. And we'll continue to build an economy where everyone gets a fair shot. An economy built from the bottom up and the middle out, not the top down. An economy that rewards work, not wealth. Finally stops billionaires who pay an average of 8% federal tax. Less tax than a teacher or a firefighter. I think they should be able to be a billionaire, but pay your fair share, damn it. Because we understand something MAGA Republicans don't. Wall Street did not build this country, you did. Working people, middle class built this nation, and unions built the middle class. And we're not going to let anyone or anything tear America apart. I'll close with this. We're at a serious moment in our nation's history. The MAGA Republicans don't just threaten our personal rights and economic security. They're a threat to our very democracy. They refuse to accept the will of the people. They embrace political violence. They don't believe in democracy. This is why, in this moment, those of you who love this country, Democrats, independents, mainstream Republicans, we must be stronger, more determined, and more committed to saving America than the MAGA Republicans are destroying America. We the people are the first words of our Constitution, and we the people will still determine the destiny of America. If we the people stand together, we will prevail as we the people. We just have to keep the faith. We just have to persevere. We just have to vote. Vote. Folks, we just have to remember who we are. We are the United States of America, and there's nothing beyond our capacity if we do it together. So let's get it done. God bless you all, and may God protect our troops. Thank you, thank you, thank you.